Okay, and welcome back. This is Ben from Web Service Development, and here we are at maintenance log number 2. And so, continuing from where we left off in our last video, what I've been doing over the last week is simplifying the post install folder. As you probably don't remember, there's a lot of junk in here. We have Apache 22, we've got data, we've got jaxer, license, local jaxer, logs, public, readme, script, and temp. So most of these, this is what our current install looks like, and it's a lot simpler, as you might have seen. Apache 22 is our Apache install folder, and that needs to be there for the time being. Jaxer is where all the files for Jaxer, all the libraries, the process itself, tell Jaxer manager, and Jaxer manager is in here too. And so these are the files that need to be here. Eventually, these should probably go into something like ect.emra.js or emerald.js or ect.jaxer. If we're doing it on Linux, it should be in some kind of final install directory. The remaining things are here now are things that are essential, and the other reason they're in here now is Jaxer likes to, Jaxer likes to more specifically, but Jaxer makes a path of where it's installed, and the default path is opt apt.jaxer. So that's why everything is in here now. And then as we go through and simplify everything and cut everything down, then from there we can figure out how to redirect the path for where it wants to be installed. So that's why everything's in here now. There's Jaxer. Public, we have a few kind of public things. License, readme, tests, and to-do is in here too. And to-do is just kind of like a simple to-do is just a simple to-do list that I made, and this kind of just shows that as I'm messing around with things, if I mess around with things too much, then this application will stop working and I can go through and find out why it's not working. So let's go back here. And so that's I've just been using it to calibrate. So that's our public folder. Again, public is here because of the path, but as we figure things out, we might be able to move that into var www or maybe use a share like Nginx does with it, or somewhere else. And the last thing is the scripts. So there's still post install, start Apache, stop Apache, start Jaxer, stop Jaxer, and start and stop for everything. So ideally this would be moved into into systemctl and have that take care of it. For now it's still scripts, and I guess that's going to be start to be one of the next thing I start to focus on. But for right now, data. This is used for Jaxer when it stores SQLite files, because it mostly uses SQLite for a lot of things that it does internally. There was a file named data, and we moved that into user share Jaxer. So because this is an absolute path, it doesn't need to be here anymore. License.text, just to kind of make things lighter and cleaner. Well, we have that moved momentarily. If we need to put it back, then we'll put it back, or if we need to find a better home for it, we can find a better home for it. Local Jaxer is kind of like an interesting concept. I'll open up Paint. So not that one, this one. So I mean, Jaxer has two config files for it. Configuration files. So one configuration file is the master configuration file, and then local Jaxer is your local configuration files. So when you start up Jaxer, it'll first look at the master configuration and do that, and then from there it'll jump into the local Jaxer and read that, and anything defined in local Jaxer will overwrite the master. And so I guess they did that to kind of set defaults and then allow you to change the local installation. That's kind of redundant. So just remove local Jaxer and then have people change the master configuration directly. And if you mess up or change your master master configuration file. You can grab it from GitHub or you can grab it from the original install. There doesn't seem to be too many advantages to doing this. It just adds complexity in folders to something that should be pretty easily to back up a file on GitHub or something like that. So that's kind of why I took that out, and that's kind of what that was for originally. Logs have been moved to var logs jaxer. Public still needs to be here. README is not that in. So I mean, it's on Windows on OS X, and then just one line for Linux. So we don't need to be that here because we don't have Windows or OS X anymore. And Linux, I don't think this site even exists now. And then the last thing is temp. We move temp from inside the directory to /temp, and so that's why this folder is gotten down to this size. So the next thing we're going to go on, what we're looking to, or for me, the next big things are get rid of the Apache folder. Jaxer, we can start working on slimming down the server side frameworks. And for scripts, we can start moving those to systemctl. So of these three issues that are on the table, the first one I think I want to play around and start tackling is the Apache installation. So for Apache, all Apache is really, there's not really much functionality that Apache is doing. So Apache is going to serve a static files from the directory. And when it gets a file that ends in HTTP, it's going to read the file and then send it to Jaxer. Jaxer is going to process it and then send it back. And then we can return that to the client. For Jaxer include, this is a folder path that says any inside Jaxer include is going to be server-side Jaxer files. So just send a 4 through not authorized, and I don't know if you want to tell them if this is server-only files or not. This is debug, so I guess we can be kind of open and honest about it. But you might just say not authorized or not found or something like that. And then for Jaxer, once it goes onto the client and calls requests to the server, it's going to do it through a Jaxer callback. So all we need to do here is grab the parameters and pass it to Jaxer. So there's really only two things that we need to do to emulate Apache's functionality. And if we get Apache done, then I think this still needs to be there because Apache will try to load. It might not need to be there. I think when Jaxer compiles, it will look through here and it needs to find this for the mod Jaxer install. But I think post-install, we might be able to delete it and get rid of it. Or post-compile, we could probably delete it and get rid of it, assuming we can emulate Apache with Node.js. And then that would have a second advantage for scripts because once we got rid of post-install, I'm moving more and more of this stuff. Actually, post-install is super small. It's mostly just setting the path. So this, as we kind of find out what path settings it need, there was more, but that's been replaced with a Python script that's done after or along with or after the compile. And then we have start Apache and stop Apache. So once we do that, start Apache, stop Apache, stop. We just have start Jaxer and stop Jaxer, and the only thing that we need, and then these two would be able to, we can move them to systemctl. So right now, kind of before we get into start simplifying the server side framework, which is kind of a big priority. If we get rid of Apache, then we can simplify the scripts, and if we simplify the scripts, that just cuts down on everything else that needs to be here. We could almost just have Jaxer and public from there, which is kind of the direction that I want to go to, in just terms of slimming down and getting things as reduced as much as possible. So that's it. That's a quick update for what we've done this week. We've managed to simplify this and get rid of a lot of these extra folders in here, which have better homes now. And so the next thing we can start look at is replacing the Apache functionality with Node.js, and then that will allow us to kind of look into and debug more. And from there, we can start simplifying the Jaxer install and start looking at renaming things, or start looking at simplifying things from there, because there's more to simplify and cut down. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening, and I'll hopefully see you with an update in the next week or two. Bye-bye.